Good morning, Summa scholars. Welcome to the Daily Summa. Today is Thursday, April 3rd, the fourth week of Lent. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
How are you, good sir?
Okay. Yeah.
Guys, we have an exciting page for you today of repetition of stuff we've already said, but under different aspects. Oh, yeah. This is, as if you recall, a long question. I think there's 12 articles. Yeah, no? Oh, yeah. 12 articles. And the next question is the God's knowledge. Question 14. God's knowledge. We'll see what we can know about God's knower. Do you have anything to report this morning, Joe?
Not particularly.
I like your new voice for today. It's like some new character from the 1970s Jim Henson Muppet Show. Not particularly. It's like a combination between the owl and the donkey in Winnie the Pooh or something. It's like a wise, tired owl. Do I have anything to share? I don't have anything written down in particular. I did not get to go to get my duffel bags yesterday.
Well,
because of severe flood watch and hail warnings. I know it's supposed to thunderstorm again today. Last night was supposed to be pretty hectic. There were tornado warnings just south of me. But if the weather is amicable, I will try and go get my duffels today. I'm sure that's super exciting to all of you out there. I know. But guys, we have chapter breaks. You can go straight to St. Thomas. Don't give me a hard time. Every day can't be, speaking of the Muppet Show, every day can't be the Muppet Show over here. Did you happen to go to the shop yesterday?
I did not. No, I was a homebody yesterday. It was nice.
Me too. It is nice sometimes. My days of being here are quickly coming to a close, Joe. We have only one more Sunday.
I mean, it's less than a week from now. It's next Tuesday. They're leaving, right? Yeah.
Yep. Do we even know where we're doing the show?
We always have the pottery studio as an emergency. I'm working with the other people we're talking to right now to see if we can get something worked out, but they have not responded to me yet, so we'll see.
Okay. I suppose we could do some of them at the Elias Casa.
Mm-hmm.
Since I'm going to be there anyway, but I don't know.
Sundays, right?
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Well, I mean, I suppose we could just continue on. Let's see if I could tell you any news that's boring to everyone but interesting to us. Yeah. Did you see my locals video that I put up?
I did.
They cut you off after 4 minutes. Is that a true story, or did just something happen with my?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Because I seem to remember when I first went on locals like 2-3 years ago, it was following Matt Fradd. This is before I ever came to Steubenville. I had to stop following Matt Fradd because I was spending so much time doing other things that I never even looked at it. So I was like, I mean, sorry, Fraddy. But perhaps I could just follow him just for funsies now or something. I don't know. But I remember his videos being long, I thought, when he would come on and chat with the people.
Yeah, I do remember when they first started doing it, there was some kind of weird limit, but I thought it was I thought it was longer, and I thought they got rid of it. But maybe it's if you're so small, you don't get
exactly. That's what I was about to say. Maybe if you're just such a small fry, That's how this world works. You don't just give willy-nilly like the people of this generation want. We should all just be equal, and everybody should just give me things because.
We should have 30 minutes. I think we should have 30 minutes.
You think 4 minutes is too little?
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it right now. We should have 30 minutes of live streaming.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, it cut off after 4. It cut me off, but we'll figure that out. Guys, if you want to support the stream, which you're not actually supporting yet, but if you just want to join the stream and see extra video, blah, 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 all that stuff, go to Locals. Also, like, subscribe, and comment. People aren't commenting on the YouTube videos. I suppose they don't want to be associated with, who knows what this guy's going to say.
Right.
I mean, would you want, like, who knows what crazy thing I say, and then it blows up and people hear that Craig used to worship Satan and now he plays D&D, so there's a connection there. And then that becomes huge. And then now they look back in the comments and there's all these people that said, good going, Craig. I think people worry about that stuff. I do. I don't want to be associated with a goofball. Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying, Joe? Does that make any sense at all?
I'm not listening to you right now.
Oh, so it's just like normal. Okay. Joe,
Yep.
I know you listen to me greatly. Don't even act like you don't like me. Don't even act like you don't like me. Well, maybe we should start rolling with this page. We'll see if we can make it a quick class today.
Okay.
Because there's so much beautiful repetition going on. Guys, you might be surprised to find out that in Article 6, there's going to be stuff about God's essence being transcendent, unapproachable, and yet we still can name it and it means something, but it might be analogous as opposed to equivocal or univocal. Just saying, that might be something. All right, whether names predicated of God are predicated primarily of creatures. Remember, creatures isn't just the little creepy things, cats and doggies. It's anything that exists. Created things. Objection 1, Larry up on deck. You know what, Joe? I might have to buy a boat.
Why would you do that?
Well, this galleon talk is really getting to me. Now, I've had a long-standing love affair, as we've discussed there at the shop. That's what started this whole beaver galleon thing. I've had a long-standing love affair with galleons. Kids get into pirates. That's kind of a common thing for young boys to get into, pirates. Because of especially with the Pirates of the Caribbean thing, because they've taken the pirate, they've made them dress cool, which the Pirates of the Caribbean would actually have dressed in like linen and shorts and stuff because it's friggin' hot out there. They're not wearing these cool jackets and blah, blah, blah. And also the pirates were just horrible, horrible people. Pirates were like Hamas. The pirates they go over to Africa. The Muslims at the time and the black folks of Africa were stealing black folks and then selling them as chattel. And these pirates would go buy some. Thanks a lot for bringing that over, guys. Pirates would go buy some. They would even steal the black folks that were stealing other black folks. Pirates like, screw you. We're not making a business deal here. You're going too. Terrible humanity. And then they would stick these people down into the hold and not even, do you think that they like brought them up every morning to go to the bathroom, stood outside while they're going to the little pirate bathroom on the ship and holding the toilet paper around the corner? Modesty. You done? Okay. You think they were doing that? They had these people down in the hold crapping all over themselves and sitting in it through the trip. Hardly feeding them. Taking the women, their reports coming back from India. These beautiful Indian women from India just minding their own business. Next thing you know, they're captured by pirates. And they would do such things to them as some of these women would slit their own throats. That's how horrible what these pirates would do. Reality of pirates, fantasy pirates. Reality pirates, fantasy pirates. We're making philosophies about making distinction. Reality Hamas, fantasy Hamas. Reality dress up like fantasy, dress up like pirates. Fantasy kids in colleges dressed up like Hamas. Fantasy pirate. Reality. Big difference. And then there's also a big difference between reality prayer, asceticism, what the saints did, and fantasy Christianity. See the difference? Reality, saints praying, doing the divine office, asceticism, flight from the world. Fantasy Christianity. There's differences between these things. But we must all be lenient with each other and patient. Because I spent many a year in fantasy land Christianity. And those who are more progressed on the way would look back at me right now and say, you're living in fantasy land. So what are you going to do? I guess we have to be patient and love each other and all that BS. Objection 1, Larry. It seems that names are predicated primarily of creatures rather than of God. Did you see how far that Shomer Chavez video went all of a sudden out of nowhere?
Yeah.
Thousands.
Pretty good.
Weird. For we name anything accordingly as we know it, since names, as the philosopher says, are signs of ideas. That's such a big deal, but it's just such a little simple sentence. Most people will go, yeah, of course, man. But we know creatures before we know God. Therefore, the names imposed by us are predicated primarily of creatures rather than of God. Larry, you're right, Larry. In time. Objection 2, Ralph. Further, Dionysius says we name God from creatures. But names transferred from creatures to God are said primarily of creatures rather than of God, such as lion, stone, and the like. Therefore, all names applied to God and creatures are applied primarily to creatures rather than to God. In time. Sure. Okay. Objection 3, Shimon. Further, all names equally applied to God and creatures are applied to God and the cause of all creatures, as Dionysius says. But what is applied to anything through its cause is applied to it secondarily. For healthy is primarily predicated of animal rather than of medicine, which is the cause of health. Therefore, these names are said primarily of creatures rather than of God. In time, perhaps, Shimon. We do first know creatures, and then we abstract and go up the ladder of divine ascent from there. That is how God has created the universe. That's why Satan wants to divorce us from the body. Okay, on the contrary, it is written, I bow my knees to the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, of whom all paternity in heaven and on earth is named. I like it better. I think it says in KJV, fatherhood. Why do you have to go paternity? This translator. I bow my knees to the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, of whom all fatherhood in heaven and on earth is named. I don't know if you know it, Joe, but in English, it is common among the poets, writers, translators. In English, we like to have variation. So often in the scriptures, in Greek and Hebrew, if there's a repeated word, the English translators will change it to synonyms because we don't like to hear the same word repeated over. But that's not how it is in Hebrew. They use the same word over and over because they're trying to stress something. And they're also, the word has a meaning down even to the letters and the composition of the letters. So anyway, not to get off into grammar necessarily. I answer that, respondio. In names predicated of many, in, by the way, Thomas is about to get long-winded here, guys. Just batten down your hatches. We're going through a storm of words here. Here we go, St. Thomas, let her rip. In names predicated of many in an analogical sense, analogy, all are predicated because they have preference to some one thing. Reference, not preference, reference. They're referring, it's what I said about the lion. We say God's a lion not because God has 4 paws, but because he's strong and the king of the jungle and blah, blah, blah. All are predicated because they have reference to some one thing, and this one thing must be placed in the definition of them all. And since that expressed by the names is the definition, as the philosopher says, such a name must be applied primarily to that which is put in the definition of such other things, and secondarily to these others, according as they approach more or less to that first. See every other likeness in reference to that first primary likeness. Thus, for instance, healthy applied to animals comes into the definition of healthy applied to medicine, which is called healthy as being the cause of health in the animal, and also in the definition of healthy, which is applied to urine, which is called healthy insofar as it is a sign of the animal's health. Thus, all names applied metaphorically to God are applied to creatures primarily rather than to God, because when said of God, they mean only similitudes to such creatures. For as smiling, this is kind of a fun one right here. For as smiling applied to a field, I don't hear that often, but I can see it. It's a nice poetic turn of phrase. I walked out into the smiling fields of spring. That's what he's trying to say. For as smiling applied to a field means only that the field in the beauty of its flowering is like the beauty of the human smile by proportionate likeness. So the name of lion applied to God means only that God manifests strength in his works as a lion in his. Thus, it is clear that applied to God, the signification of names can be defined only from what is said of creatures. But to other names not applied to God in a metaphorical sense, the same rule would apply if they were spoken of God as the cause only, as some have supposed. He's going back on Maimonides. Oh, Maimonides. For when it is said God is good, it would then only mean God is the cause of the creature's goodness. Thus, the term good applied to God would include in its meaning the creature's goodness. Hence, good would apply primarily to creatures rather than to God. But as we have shown above in Article 2, these names are applied to God not as the cause only, but also essentially. For the words God is good or God is wise signify not only that he is the cause of wisdom or goodness, but that there exists in him in a more excellent way, but that these exist in him in a more excellent way. Hence, as regards what the name signifies, these names are applied primarily to God rather than to creatures. The distinction is not just in time. The distinction is words like metaphors, metaphorical words like God is a lion or God is a rock, as opposed to, or not opposed to, but as distinct from words like goodness and love and all that. Those words apply primarily to God. He is good. He is wise, just in a more excellent way. You might notice that this is almost word for word what we've already heard. Repetition is the mother of learning. We're staring at our beloved's hands. Listen with your heart, not your head. But it will sink into your head more and more deeply, and you'll get to know these things so that they're just second nature to you. Remember back when we first stepped foot on this beaver galleon, guys? It was so mysterious. We didn't know what the ropes were all for. What's going on here? Now we're just like, okay, another day on the beaver galleon. We got it. We got this. Confidence. Con fide. Con fide. Confidence. With faith. Con fide. With faith. We have faith because we have grown in knowledge. Remember, in Catholicism, in true Christianity, faith is based on reason. Con fide. With faith. You gain faith through reasons to be confident, not just willy-nilly. You got to believe in fairies. You have to have reasons substantiating why it's okay to climb up the staircase, and then at some point make a leap. But you have to have a reason to know. Just like the scientists who got in that capsule to fly off to the moon or fly into space and come back or whatever. They didn't know that it was going to work, but they had great confidence because they knew the mathematics and they had experimented with it, and they had great confidence. They had great faith because of knowledge. Faith and reason together. Okay, because these perfections flow from God, two creatures. But as regards the imposition of the names, they are primarily applied by us to creatures which we know first. Hence, they have a mode of signification which belongs to creatures, as said above. Wisdom, goodness, they have a mode of signification to creatures because we come to know the word goodness and wisdom by experiencing creatures. Little baby girl with mommy. Daddy picks up his coffee and goes, that's good. First of all, she's never heard the word good before. She's just staring at dad, smiling. She's got a little smile. God packs it in, pre-packed into the little kitty brain, wired into the hard drive that she should smile at that. She's getting to know her little first steps into what goodness means, the word goodness means. Way doesn't even know about God yet. She's just sitting there sucking on the teat and watching dad, and she's in oblivious, almost like a little animal, except she can smile. Daddy smiled, good. Then she gets up a little older. She can start to talk. She doesn't know coffee yet because she can't drink coffee. It's got caffeine in it, which would blow her freaking little mind. And it's bitter. Notice the progression of what God's doing to us, how he starts making us enjoy bitterness and calling that good. I like to say tricking us. It's not a trick. It's a trick because of our ignorance. It seems like a trick. As Jeremiah said, you duped me, Lord, and I allowed myself to be duped. But God is slowly showing you that bitter things can be good and joyful. But for the little baby, she doesn't know. She just knows he's drinking the cup and he goes, good. And then she begins to drink, not just from the teat, but from a little cup. And she's having her little milk or her little apple juice or whatever. And she goes, And now a connection is made. Dad did his cup and he said, good. I drink my cup and I hear the word good. So this is what good means. She has a definition, which is not an intellectual definition, but a feminine experiential definition, which is as good as we can get with the word good. As I've discussed before, it's hard to define the word good. And because it's the lower world, it jumps up to the upper world of definition and cater. All these things are playing on each other as you're growing in knowledge and goodness. So what Thomas is trying to show you is that the word good, you did come to know what that word good means through creatures, through your mother's breast, through your apple juice, through your Barney songs that you liked. Wheel on the bus goes round and round and all that junk that I hate hearing. But you finally get to know what good is through creatures. But unlike a metaphor, the word lion has reference to the lion of the tribe of Judah, has reference to that lion, whereas the word good has exact reference to God himself. But we came to learn that through creatures. These are things to meditate on, guys, to realize what God's doing to you. Each one of your days is important. You're learning things, you're growing. You're still going off to school every day with your little Spider-Man lunchbox. That's why Jesus said, unless you humble yourself and become like a little child, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. If you wake up in your day and head out your door as a big, tough man or a smart little, strong, independent woman, you are blind. But if you come out as a little child with your Spider-Man lunchbox and enjoy the day and open yourself up to learning and growing, you will learn and grow and not collapse in on yourself. Reply to objection 1. Thomas is not very long-winded with the boys today. And I'm just going to read through these because I think we got it, guys. He says to Larry, this objection refers to the imposition of the name. I wonder what the shortest reply is in all of Shas. I want to say Shas. It's not Shas. This isn't Gemara. This is the Summa. I wonder what the shortest reply is in all the Summa. If we count the letters here, let's go ahead and do that. We'll do that later, perhaps. I'll probably just get it on in my day and forget about it, but it would be interesting to see what the most terse reply Thomas ever gives one of these fellows is. Reply to objection 2. Oh, feel free, guys, on your own time to skip back and see what the objection was. Reply to objection 2. The same rule does not apply to metaphorical or to other names, as said above. Exactly. Objection 3, Shimon. This objection would be valid if these names were applied to God only as cause, like Maimonides says, but I'm telling you that it's not the way, says Thomas, and not also essentially. For instance, as healthy as applied to medicine. Okay, Article 7. Clearly, we're at the beginning point. We're not going to get into the sed contra, so this is going to be a pretty short run through, guys. Tomorrow we'll address it more. Article 7, whether names which imply relation to creatures are predicated of God temporally. It seems that names which imply relation to creatures are not predicated of God temporally, for all such names signify the divine substance, as is universally held. Hence, also Ambrose says that this name, Lord, is the name of power, which is the divine substance, and creator signifies the action of God, which is his essence. Now, the divine substance is not temporal, but eternal. Therefore, these names are not applied to God temporally, but eternally. It's good to see how Thomas is. This is almost like not even a theology. This is more like a logic class. Like that's what's happening. Learn how to hear arguments rightly. Excuse me, and what part to take and what part to leave, what part to accentuate and what part to not accentuate. Okay, objection 2. Here comes Larry. No, Ralph. Further, that to which something applies temporarily can be described as made. For what is white temporarily is made white. But to be made does not apply to God. Therefore, nothing can be predicated of God temporarily. Yeah, that's true. But what about names as applied to God, Ralph? Objection 3. Further, if any names are applied to God temporally as implying relation to creatures, the same rule holds good of all things that imply relation to creatures. But some names are spoken of God implying relation to God to creatures from eternity. For from eternity he knew and loved the creature. According to the word, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore, also, other names implying relation to creatures as Lord and Creator are applied to God from eternity. That's what they mean, but they were not there in the same way they are in our minds eternally, because we are not eternal. Let's see. We'll see how Thomas cleans this party up. This ship had gotten a little not ship shape. Thomas is going to come back and get those ropes in order, put the lines out, get the rat lines in order. Did we do okay with time, Joe?
Just fine, actually. Yeah, 29 minutes.
Wow, it's getting shorter and shorter every day.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, guys, the reason it's getting shorter is because of all the repetition. And that's a good thing. I hope you don't have such a craving for novelty, which, like I do, such a craving for novelty that you don't see the importance of this repetition and beauty and meditation on these things. Well, Joe, it's time for us to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
This is all straw. Go pray. Bye.